In this video, I'm going to be talking about Ikigai and how it can help you lead a long and fulfilled life. My name's Nick Lynch, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be talking about the book Ikigai. This book is based around the population in Japan of the Okinawans and how they live such long and fulfilled lives. I'm going to go over some of those tips and some of the information that's been discovered to find out how this is possible. Okay, so I'm here to talk to you about Ikigai. So Ikigai is this idea from Japan, the Okinawan population. So there are four main domains to working with your Ikigai. So the first is finding something that you love. Second is finding something that you're good at. The third is finding something that can make money. And the fourth is finding something that's good for the world. So in this wonderful Venn diagram, in the middle is where you get your Ikigai, your meaning for life. So this Ikigai can be your job, it can be a hobby, it can be whatever gets you out of bed and makes you feel passionate and connected to life. So not everyone has this. So in the book it talks about the idea that through money, success, striving in one's job, all these things can be a distraction from feeling connected, and this can lead to a sense of despair. So with this despair, can lead to negative emotions. They talk about a particular interesting type of therapy in the book that unlike Western psychoanalysis, which focuses on the past, this is a different type of being in the moment, being with your feelings and trying to find a reason to live and focus on the future, which is quite an interesting topic. They also talk in the book about the idea of community. So they've got these community groups that everyone puts a small amount of money into each month or each payment period, and they help to have a party, so kind of a get-together, friendly meet-up, so everyone can be involved with the community, and that is paid for by the group contributions. So if those group contributions for whatever reason don't get used up by the end of the year, or I think it's year or time period, could be a month, then that money, the remainder of that money, is allocated to a person in the group, and then that rotates through the people of the group. So there's always a good chance that someone will get the excess money. It's also there to support your neighbours and the people around you in making sure there are enough people to help with tasks like working in the fields perhaps, or if there's a community project, so someone's building a new house, they can ask their neighbours and people of this group to help with that. So the idea of community is very strong in keeping people living into an old age. So in this Okinawa area, you've got lots of super centurions, so people living exceptionally long lives into their 110s, 120s, which there are lots of contributing factors that they talk about in the book. So I'll run through some of those now. One is being constantly active. So there's this in Okinawa, lots of people have gardens. So some people will get up at 5 in the morning, happily work in their garden for an hour, and then they would go about their normal business, and then they might walk to their location and spend time perhaps on their bicycle going to another location. There's this idea of constantly doing lots of little bits of activity, which kind of is in contrast to the West, where there's the idea of doing lots of large activities. So you'll sit in your office all day and then you'll go to the gym for an hour and do lots of activity, which is has its pros and cons, but that's one of the things that's covered in the book. Another idea is to not let stress get to you, which is a very nice idea in itself. So they promote, as might not surprise you, meditation, not letting stress into your heart, and trying to live as low stress life as possible. They're also talking again about the gardens that were mentioned in the book. So most people do have a garden, and this can be a second route of income after their normal jobs, but these gardens produce a wide variety of fruits. So I think they were saying around 200 fruits or vegetables are grown in these gardens. So it can be this variety of foodstuffs that can help promote longevity in this population. They also talk about sugar and salt intake, the sugar intake being, I think, a third or half that of the average Japanese person, which is quite low in itself. generally on the world stage, but they also say the salt intake is slightly lower than Japanese population, so average population. So I think that's about 7 grams, which is pretty low. I'm of the different opinion that salt should be a little bit higher, but that's neither here nor there. So the garden, eating fresh every day, being with your friends, laughing, having an open heart, not stressing too much are some of the main things. They also talk about the idea of not retiring. So doing what you love, there's no need to retire. So if you're doing what you love and you retire, you can take away your passion in life, your Ikigai, which in itself can be detrimental because then you can end up floating without a purpose. So having that driving purpose is something that really keeps people going, keeps people alive, which is pretty cool when you think about it. They also talk about in the book the idea of not eating till you are full, so eating till you're 80% full. They do have a word for it, but it escapes me. I first came across this term in a book, Transcendence, I think it was called, by Ray Kurzweil, a futurologist. It's one of the practice he does, so it helps with longevity and helps to make sure you're not eating past where you should. So they found out in this Okinawan community that they actually eat lower than the average Japanese person calorie wise. So I think the average calorie intake for a Japanese person was in the region of 2,100, and it was something in the region of 1,900 for the Okinawa population. So all these things taken together can be quite a helpful route to longevity and happiness. So how do you actually find your Ikigai, you might be wondering? That is a little bit harder. In the book, they don't stress exactly how to find it. They say it's an intuitive process. You move towards things that you enjoy doing and move away from things you dislike doing, which does make sense. They talk about taking it slowly. It's not about winning life. It's about finding meaning in the day-to-day, in the here and now, not living for the future, not dwelling in the past, but being very present, which again binds in with the meditation topics they're talking about. So yeah, I like this book. I think it's got some good information, some good things to put into effect. Whether I'm going to put those into effect is another thing. I like the ideas. Yeah, some of them are kind of not dissimilar from what's been touted as general research, such as having a community, having a meaning in life, being a good healthy weight, minimizing stress. So all these things kind of tie together in this book. I think it's a good book. They've got a really nice diagram which shows the overlapping areas of life, which I talked about at the beginning, and I think it's definitely worth a go if you want to dive a little bit deeply into it. It's got some nice anecdotal kind of snippets from some of the actual residents, and yeah, it's a nice book. I'd recommend it. It's given me something to think about anyway. So that was the book Ikigai. Thank you for watching my video. If you like this, please do check out some of the other videos on my channel and link and subscribe below. I've also included a link below which I do get a referral fee from for the book Ikigai if you want to check it out. See you next time.